in Champlain. We'll pick up now where we left off last week in our Glories of France tour, courtesy of Mr. John Zurlo. John and Mary Zurlo, along with Janet McFetrich and Clark Hurdick and a few others, including a bunch of North Country students, took a tour of Europe, primarily France. We're at the Palace of Versailles. As we continue and conclude our tour, the Palace of Versailles in Paris, coming right at you, courtesy of John Zurlo.
This is the Mercury Room. This was Louis XIV's bedroom and also where his coffin was displayed when he died. This is the Apollo Room in Louis XIV's throne. This is the War Drawing Room. This War Drawing Room enters into the Hall of Mirrors that we're about to enter.
This is where the Treaty of Versailles came as World War I was signed.
The Hall of Mirrors is where the Treaty of Versailles ending World War I was signed. This is the Hall of Mirrors. It was this hall that the king and his family would walk to, use as a corridor, and they were the chapel each day.
Ouais, tout ce qu'il y a, c'est lui qui m'en remplace ici.
There's windows on one side, mirrors on the other side. The mirrors reflect the window.
This is the Queen's antechamber, the room outside of the bedroom. This used to be a chapel, but then later became the room of the Queen's Guard.
They attempted to resist the invasion of the French, of the peasants during the French Revolution. The resistance took place in this room.
This is the coronation room. All these pictures depict Napoleon. This is the Hall of Battles. some of these battles that we see here took place on our trip from Avignon to Tours. We saw a lot of ruins on that trip, 12-hour trip, and in many cases where some of these battles were fought. This is still the battle room or the battle gallery. Napoleon. Battle of Rivoli.
Battle of Poitiers, where the French under Charles Martel defeated the Moors, the Muslims, and prevented the spread of the Muslim religion any further, and probably the salvation of Christianity. Basically, we'd probably all be Muslims if the spread had not been stopped into Europe, because the Muslim religion would have been brought to this country.
At Versailles, there are two more castles called the Petit and Grand Trianon, which are located farther back into the woods. And also there's a small little building that Marie Antoinette used to go to when she wanted to get away from the big palace. And they had that stocked with sheep and other animals that she liked to play with.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, but shoot. Restoration. Every time you see something, you're always repairing part of it.
Remember, the majority of this was constructed by Louis XIV from excess tax money put on the French peasants, who were basically, the country was starving to death while he was sinking all kinds of money into this summer home and these gardens, and much of this was the discontent that led to the French Revolution.
Here's a view, more garden view. However, the flowers haven't been planted yet. It's a bit early. And the fountains aren't running around the pools. So another few weeks it'll be even much more beautiful. This is a view of the Palace of Versailles from the gardens in the rear. This is the back side of the palace.
Mr. G, and
Hi.
all you New Yorkers.
Hi, Debbie.
We're gonna eat an orange. Oranges are full of vitamin C, and we're all sick.
Voilà.
Okay, it's okay. Keep going.
Voilà, vous regardez dans la glace, là vous pouvez vous regarder dans la glace. Voilà, c'est très bien, c'est bien votre taille. Voilà. Une casquette achetée à Versailles. Dans la ville des rois. Voilà, un bon souvenir. Voilà.
Très bien.
Now coming from the southwest, we'll be going through some of the suburbs, and you'll probably get a view of some of the landmarks on our way in.
That's how you feel? Yeah.
Probably half myth, half reality, but it's one of those things that so many people believe and act on that it's kind of true. Because of that, lots of Americans come here. About 3 million come to Paris every summer alone. Summer Paris only has a population of 3 million. So it's a lot of tourists. Some of the Americans who have come here before you have included Ernest Hemingway, Gertrude Stein, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Henry James, Henry Miller, Robert Louis Stevenson. Well, quite the city is pretty as it is.
Looks at the city.
This is what Paris traffic is like in the
Distance.
It's another various kinds of shows. No. Another thing about the metro, they have first and second class cars. There's no difference really in the cars, except first class cars aren't as crowded because the tickets are more expensive for the train. There's usually a number one somewhere up on the ceiling, exactly where the first class car is going to stop.
C'est Paris?
Non, c'est français. C'est pas spécialement parisien.
Now in downtown Paris.
Parce que dedans, il y a des légumes.
Oh, I get it. The vegetable inside.
Il y a combien de mètres de tapis?
Rebate 501 is 279 francs. Oh, one I've been talking all the time through the whole.
Oh my
This is the Église Zurlo.
I don't know.
La République, one of the many squares of Paris. Paris is, the way it's designed is around squares like this. There are streets, big boulevards and avenues that spiral out from the squares, and this is one of the main squares.
What are you going to do if you find out we're short? Will I throw it in?
This is the George Pompidou Modern Art Museum, which created quite a controversy when it was built because it did not fit the area of the city in which it was not blended.
No, we're not in Kansas anymore.
Carl's birthday today. Happy birthday, Just have to make sure that we can get back to the bus.
She's got a ticket to ride.
Around the Pompidou Museum.
She's got a
There's an actual
ticket to
countdown of
ride.
seconds left until the
She's
year
got a
2000.
ticket to ride. She don't care.
And there's currently a Picasso exhibit going on. Okay.
Another one you want me to get?
No, not yet. Come on.
A former bishop of Paris, built in the 14th century, and it has a very old organ in it. It's a beautiful little church. They have free concerts there on weekends, and it has a real old organ in it that used to be played by Camille Saint-Saëns, you know him, the composer. He used to be the organist here. So.
Yeah. No.
By the Eiffel Tower, yeah.
By the Eiffel Tower, yes.
First American church built outside of the United States.
Shaking.
How long do you want to stop this for? Herbert?
Stay at night because then you'll have to get it tomorrow today.
How's that smile doing?
felt something. Where artist.
These pictures are all taken at night. Hopefully they'll come out.
Because of the avenues that radiate out from it. There's 12 avenues that radiate out from the Arc of Triomphe. Standing arch in the world.
Well, you got into Parliament enough to
Oh, it's the long side. And it's the long side. The other must be the...
One of the craziest intersections in Paris. Coming up on the right, if you want to look down the street, is the Champs-Élysées. And it's a clear shot from here to the obelisk of Luxor that we passed before, all the way down to the Place de la Concorde. Okay?
Around the Arc de Triomphe. No lanes.
This is Place de Clichy, another one of the big squares.
Sacred Heart.
I don't want the garbage. I know.
Sightseeing tour of Paris. We're going to see a lot of the major monuments, including Notre Dame. Notre Dame, as you may know, was built in the 11th century and has an incredible history behind it. And I find that since I've been here, I keep learning new stories about things that have happened there in the past. And there's one that some of your teachers have told me, and Mr. Hurtig has agreed to tell you about that now. It's fascinating, and it'll shed a little light on the history of Notre Dame. So I'd like you to all give him your attention for just a couple minutes.
When Notre Dame was first constructed, it was realized immediately that to staff a facility this large required a very large, very complex group of people. Well, one of the first people that was hired, as most of you know, was a guy named Quasimodo, who became the famous bell ringer. Well, for over 50 years, Quasimodo got up every morning, rang the bells. He got tired, and he decided to retire. So he put an ad in the local newspaper advertising for a new bell ringer. And for over 2 months, people would come in and apply for the job, and Quasimodo would take them one at a time all the way up the stairs at the top and say, okay, ring the bell. And people would go over and pull on the ropes, and none of them really would please Quasimodo. He had a very high level of excellence, and he wanted to make sure that was maintained. So after a couple of months, some guy came in and said he wanted to try out for the job, and Quasimodo took him upstairs and said, okay, go ahead, ring the bell. The guy got back about 20 yards and took a sprint start and just ran into the bell and hit it with the side of his head and produced a beautiful ringing tone. And Quasimodo says, that's it. That's the guy who's going to take my place. So he became the new bell ringer. Quasimodo retired, and you think that'd be the end of the story. Well, after about 3 years, this guy got really despondent. He got sick and tired of running into his bell every morning. And one morning, he ran out the wrong window, and he went all the way down, and he killed himself. Man's laying here on the street. The people came over and looked at him, and nobody knew who it was. So someone said, well, we better go get Quasimodo. He can tell us who this guy is. So Quasimodo comes over, walks over and looks down at the guy, thinks to himself for a second, scratches his head, and he says, you know, he says, I don't know the man's name, but that face sure rings a bell. Well, the story doesn't end here. There was a new bell ringer hired, and John Zurlo is going to tell you about this.
Just before, that's the big square with the lion in the middle, straight ahead. Just before we get there, you'll see on the right the entrance to the city catacombs, which is used to be kind of a pauper's grave. It's an underground chamber. It's just filled with skeletons and bodies and stuff. That's the entrance on the right here. There's a little green building.
Underground.
I ended up some more. The palace in Luxembourg. Straight ahead after we turn.
Oh, yeah.
This is the 1015, and it became a shrine to the revolution. And some of the heroes of France are buried there. Victor Hugo, Voltaire, Rousseau, Louis Braille, who invented the Braille system, Emile Zola.
Pantheon.
We will stop here for about. L'église de la Sorbonne University, and moving it out to various colleges around Paris and outside of Paris. So there's no longer the strongest student presence as there was here. But there's still a lot of cafes, and this is still a place where young people go to have a good time. Place Saint-Michel, which is kind of the center of the Latin Quarter. And we're crossing the Seine here to go back on Ile de la Cité. We'll stop there later on the tour. To the left is the Palais de Justice, which is where a lot of the courts are and the police headquarters. This clock on the corner of it here was built with it, I think, in about the 14th century, and it's still running. One that will go past the Louvre. And as we move down it, the shops become more and more expensive and exclusive. Marie Antoinette decided she would just as soon not be in Paris.
The Louvre.
Of course, this place was a little plain for her taste. Building.
What building?
Opera.
Opera.
Oh, the Opera House.
One of the former minister of the culture we had, very much keen on art, also like to protect and to restore a lot of things about to be the French comedy, which has been set over here by Louis XIV, and thanks to see, we did it. So we're getting now into the Louvre yard. They are building in the middle, you see those thing in the middle there? They are building a new glass pyramid, and you'll be able to see it in a second. It's made by Pei.
Yeah.
Well, if you look through it, you will see the obelisk and the other end, the triumphal arch. Can you see it?
Yes.
Goody. Now it has housed more than 40,000 pieces of art. It's very sweet. At my opinion, it's the nicest place, the nicest view, from the middle of the Pont on Paris. The nicest place to go to is with a cupola. That's where we get the collection of medals. Also, we used to, it's called the oldest bridge because it's the first one which has been made. See, at this time, the title is La Conciergerie.
Oh, that's the same one.
La Conciergerie used to be a royal mansion until Charles V. Then it was turned into a prison where people like Ravaillac, the one who tried to murdered Henry IV, like others. Then it was especially famous under the Revolution because that. Very terrible. Also, you can see a spire overhanging at the top. This is the model of Gothic art, and it was made as a shrine to house what we think is the the original, the true crown of Jesus Christ. You know the one? What is it? Notre Dame Cathedral. From the 12th century, started in 5 years to build it. This is a lot. Several centuries to it. It's a question of having money and then having good people to work at it. What we're going to do now, we're going to...
So what's the back of Notre Dame then?
This is the back of Notre Dame Cathedral.
Good.
Are we going to explore the inside?
Everybody's come around here. Circle around here.
And on the other side of the river, you can see a very high Gothic tower. It's all what remains across the river again. We have a column with a golden statue at the top. The statue represents the victory, and this is due to Napoleon I, the one who was crowned in Notre Dame, and this is dedicated to the glory of his army. And on both sides we have two themes. They sell books, postcards, photographies, lithographies, all kind of things. So that's green boxes on the right, the bookings, and the bateau mouche on the riverside.
Take the better bush in the daytime because it's not a good time.
This part we are seeing now is called La Galerie du Bord de l'Eau. It was made by Mary of Medici. Of the Stradamus was predicated. So since there is a church right across the Louvre called Saint-Germain l'Auxerrois, she decided to have a mansion across on the right start the Tuileries Garden before at the Jeu de Paume on the Concorde Square. The line is terrible, it's very hard to get in at it, but this pavilion, it was invented by Napoleon. Before Napoleon, the soldiers were given weapons of honor. But Napoleon found it was easier to have a medal, a regular. Now, the National Assembly. The National Assembly, also called the Palais Bourbon, that's where the French law, are made. In fact, if you've been to prison, you lose your right to vote of citizens. From the Bastille prison. symbol of the revolution. And we're coming now to the Concorde Square. Right in front of us are two buildings with flag at the top. The one on the left is the Crillon Hotel. Crillon Hotel. 5-star, deluxe, very good place to be accommodated at. The pavilion with columns again, but on the right is a ministry, so it's got French flag at the top. Then, coming on the right, you will see through the grills and the carousel. You will see that on the right. It's the beginning of the... And what? The Champs-Élysées, of course. This square is a royal square. It was made in the 18th century for Louis XV, just like the one on the Saint-Marc Square. One of them symbolized the Navy, the sea navigation. It's the one coming now. And the other one at the other end of the square symbolized the river navigation. In the middle itself stands the obelisk. You see the obelisk coming from Luxor. How it was settled over here, coming by the river through the... The Concorde Square was also the place where about 2,000 people were beheaded during the revolution. Now we start the Champs-Élysées. They're divided into two parts. The bottom part, which is more like a garden. See the place? Here the place on the right, the Champs-Élysées, and on the left, the Doyen restaurant. Doyen restaurant, very expensive places. When they were first created, the Champs-Élysées in fact were the route from Le Louvre to Versailles. It was very posh place, very nice place to come for a ride, especially for the ladies to show up how beautiful were the new dress. Coming, for a walk and meeting people just to show off a little bit. They used to have cows over here at the time of Louis the 16th, and the beautiful lady would come and have a drink of fresh milk that they get right from the cow. Right will be on the right and the petit on the left. Both of them are exhibition. And we are about to cross, from the same time, built exactly the same time, the nicest bridge is the bridge Alexander III. Also from 1900. See beautiful decorations. Style Napoleon III, very heavy decoration. The base of it, in fact, is just one main iron arch covered with stones. To the Invalids Hospital. This very big building in front of us, classical style, built by Louis XIV because for the wounded soldiers. You see this king, Louis XIV, the one who built Versailles, did a lot of war, many wars. And when you say wars, you say, of course, people not damaged, bounded windows, which are the one at the base of the roofing. You see that, in fact, those little windows are armors. Can you see it with the helmet? This is to recall that this building had a military function. Nowadays, this place is not an hospital anymore, not a garden. In the garden, behind the grill, you can see a green statue which turns you back to you. This poor thing has been thinking for years and years now.
The Thinker by Rodin.
It's the thinker, the statue of Rodin. Can you see it? Still thinking. You see? And the big 2,000 pieces. Thinker of Rodin. Unfortunately, we can only see the back of it. But the dome of the Invalids, we call it the dome. It was made by Mansart, the same one who built the second part of Versailles. And it's supposed to, this dome is supposed to be the nicest in Paris. You can see it still remains some golden decoration. but it would cost too much. It would cost about, to restore that, 1/10 of the annual budget of France. We don't have so much.
This is the Dome of the Invalids?
I think so.
So this is the Dome of the Invalids. What's so important with that? In fact, it's the church which goes with the hospital. When Louis XIV built the hospital, he built the church, and he thought that maybe he could be buried in the choir. Symbolic, next to his soldiers, he, big fighters, great winners, symbolic. You heard about it, okay. Okay, the one who crowned himself and so on and so on. Now, in 1815, Napoleon's got to escape. He's lost all the last battles, and he has to abdicate. He abdicates and is taken away for good in St. Helena, an English island located south of Africa. He will die there in 1821. And if he was not famous, when he was not very much appreciated by the French at the time, little by little, we do realize that he was a great hero, and we want the body back. After 4 years negotiation, in 1840, the King of France of the time will send his son, the Duke of Joinville, to get the body back. They left France on a boat called La Belle Poule, and they went to get the body of Napoleon. To be sure it will be Napoleon and not anybody else, they brought one of his servants who know the body, knew or whatever, very well. They will open the tomb and they will find the body of Napoleon, beautifully preserved. Well, very well preserved. The thing is, when I see real fast. Now, they decide to bring the body back, and Napoleon will be shown up in the whole city, going through the Triumphal Arch, down the Champs-Élysées. It will be a great ceremony. The body will be put, the lintel put on a huge chariot pulled by 16 horses just by one man. You realize? People get so excited about it that all kind of relic will rise up. All kind of relics. The little piece of material which has touched one of the, I don't know, the shoes or whatever. Really, it will be like relics, veneration, just like relics. And it won't happen for anybody else in our history. Napoleon is the only example of a military person which is not a saint, but just worshipped like a god, more or less. Now, church, just the time to settle, to organize the cryptus of this church. To organize the cryptus and to prepare the lintel to put the body of Napoleon in. Nowadays we can still see it. It's in the...
Well, yours up here and stuff? It's fine. This is fine. This is maybe...
Inhabitants out of 54 million French. Another word, it's about 18% of the French population living on 2.2% of the superficie of France. In other words, it's very crowded. The city of Paris really started to exist 20 centuries ago, at the Roman time. We were Gallic, then all of a sudden a country a lot more civilized than we were, the Romans, very organized people, very advanced, invade our country and start to develop all kinds of things. An exhibition in 1885. She was built at the beginning for only, in fact, Paris needed a place, a very high place, where to set an antenna for the radio. And it happened that the highest place, the most convenient place for that, was the top of the Eiffel Tower. So, of the Eiffel Tower, which they...
These are the fountains just below the Eiffel Tower. We were here last night, but I had to come back and take pictures in the daytime. The fountains weren't operating last night. Eiffel Tower is 900 feet high. They paint it every 7 years. Takes 52 tons of paint. Very expensive. It's very expensive to keep it up. They sold a stairway in it to get money for upkeep, and they sold it to a restaurant in New Orleans.
Where's McDonald's? If you don't talk at the same time, you will have seen McDonald's.
You see McDonald's in the États-Unis.
If you are in France, you want to try Free Time. It's the one right at the corner. It's almost the same as McDonald's. At the corner there, on the left. Can you see Free Time? That's a French company. We started the same business as McDonald's. And the bread is not the same. It's more elongated. It's like, but it's still very nice. Very, very nice. It's my favorite. Yes, the Free Time. Renault come on the right now. The Renault at the top is a pub called the Pub Renault, and this pub is the place where took place the bombing. One of the very bloody events. Do you remember the bombing we had 2 years ago in Paris? So a bomb was set under the table in this. That's on the right. We're going to drive slowly. We can't really stop because we'll be chased. Hold on. This may be important. This is maybe the time that Mr. Mitterrand is getting out. He's getting out. No, it's not him. It's not him.
Just like the guy was on that, like,
Watch the move.
Keep going.
Says keep going.
Keep going.
We can't stop. We can't stop. We got to go. Well, we were about to see him getting out. Mr. Mitterrand doesn't live here. He lives not far away from Notre Dame, actually. Okay, and the street we are in now is called the Faubourg Saint-Honoré Street. Faubourg Saint-Honoré Street. It's the most famous street of Paris for fashion. Perfume, jewelry, clothing. You got everything you like. You see all those shops here? It's very difficult to be able to afford that. You see, my dream, personally, is that one day one of the drivers would get out of the bus, rush to a shop and buy me something. Guess what? Never happened. Never happened. It's coming. The other one is bigger. Same decoration. Black marble.
Identical place around this.
And now that you got all the clothes, all the shoes, the handbags, the perfume, you can go to Maxime's. Oh, it's not far. It's just on the right. Just make it right there at the crossing. An assembly on the other side. It's very parallel. In order to have a very good and strict. This place we are at now is the Boulevard of La Madeleine. We have, you see, Paris all through along the years was surrounded by different walls. In fact, as long as the city extends, we destroy the walls and we build new ones. We had 5 different walls protecting the cities against the invaders, of course. And this series of boulevard going almost around Paris. Rally. You see, it's a cafeteria. It's not too crowded, not yet. You go up. It's very fast. It's not cheap, but it's okay. For Paris, it's okay. So if you want to go to the rally, you're going to stop as far apart as the opera. You're not parking very far. In front of you, look, you see Galerie Lafayette.
Oh, yeah.
Galerie Lafayette. We have several shops of Galerie Lafayette. And on the same street, further on, you will find Le Printemps. They both are department store, very important department store. Very, very nice. You'll find all kind of shopping in there. It's not cheap again, but it's a big variety of all kind of things. We have different shops. You see, we've seen one at the other street. There is one here and another one there. We have different ones.
So, the southeast corner, I think. Southeast, you'll see it. It's right at that intersection. Okay. If you go back to Notre Dame and you get there a little early, you might want to go see the memorial to the deportation, which is a World War II memorial, and it's very interesting. You've probably never seen anything like it before. It's not a monument. It's not a statue. It's something you walk through. That's if you get back to Notre Dame a little quick. That's an interesting place.
Okay. That clock that we just photographed is the oldest clock in France.
There are a lot of people here. It's a Latin Quarter.
This is Notre Dame Cathedral. Traffic is very Clark and I are very fortunate to have a private tour with our driver. We have groups at the Eiffel Tower and groups at the Louvre, and the driver is graciously driving us through the city. Unbelievable. Tour buses are lined up for miles.
Okay, open up.
Il n'y a que ces deux-là. Ça peut être...
Come on.
Pas plus vite.
That's the French Navy down there, John. Aircraft carrier.
Stop encore.
Go ahead, I'm all right.
Stop on.
That tower is where Sorbonne University is located. Did Gloria take off too? Too much sun. Champs-Élysées.
Hey, Bill.
Place de Concorde.
How are your cigarettes?
Pardon?
How are the cigarettes?
Right there in this square is where
Trying to get a piece in there.
Marie Antoinette was guillotined. Bateau Mouche. We will be taking a boat tour this evening. The River Seine.
Hang them on the Debbie and Daniel. Okay?
What do you want me to do?
You're gonna get a...
Everybody in the police station. Oh, yeah, there for hours. There was just one man, and they did try to help us. They gave us a book on all the things that could happen to them. We've got a gas dispatch. I'll be in the sun, probably. Oh, we went to Berthier. Did you get to Berthier in the ice cream?
Dana will be the only one that's rested on the way back tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Stood until the revolution. It was torn down and completely destroyed after the revolution. There's nothing left except a couple of stones remaining, which you can see down in the metro stop underneath the place in front of us. But that's where it stood.
I'm also going to suggest to Alice, because she does pass a lot of things. After that conference we went to, we have wanted to know a lot of things about what's going on. I'm going to say it's in the guidebook, what the procedure is for students who are lost, what the procedure is, even though the guide.
I wanted to make sure I knew what rank they were.
I think that's why it's that red, because est-ce que la dernière que vous avez vu sur le tour d'argent?
Ça, non.
Non, là?
C'est...
Madame, we talked to some woman from...
To our right is the famous restaurant, the Tour d'Argent. Behind it, the new building going up, is the new opera house that just moves into the 21st century with its opera house. And it seems that each president manages to find a new landmark.
Mitterrand?
They're just the same as the
Non, je
Kings.
croyais que vous me parliez du grand bâtiment à côté. Le grand bâtiment, c'est le Mid-Cap. Ça fait à peu près 800 grammes.
I'm not into French class. L'avion, je peux pas voler.
Faudra qu'ils mettent la puissance.
How you doing?
Bocce game.
It's a Jack in English.
No, everyone just like this. Let's go to something.
Reservations, they've been screwed up. Where are we going to eat? Where?
This is Danielle, the all-purpose beauty man, known as Mr. Goodwrench.
Thank you. Shut up and let him get the earrings. He gets the earrings. Sooner you have the tape. Fine. Which one's he gonna get to Reagan Aiken? Mr. John Zurlo.
Mr. John.
How's it up? Here's a view of the little church while we're waiting to eat dinner. Our final night in Paris.
Francia, Italia, under 21.
Spécial, oui? Spécial, pardon. Pourquoi? Oui? Herbert, il y a quelque chose de spécial pour vous, de notre groupe. Est-ce que vous pouvez recevoir notre cadeau ou est-ce que vous êtes tout occupé? Oui? Ce n'est pas une blague. Je parle anglais pour les Américains. I'd like you to give a round of applause now for Herbert and all our wonderful week of seeing France by bus through a window. Two. Qui peut mettre les petites pois dans la bouche. Vous l'avez vu? Les petites pois.
Certains l'ont vu hier soir.
Et puis, un cadeau pour lui aussi. OK? Applaudissez, s'il vous plaît, pour notre conducteur. Speech here, Danielle would like to speak to you in French, and we're going to try rapid translation.
Voilà, le moment fatal est arrivé. Toutes les bonnes choses ont une fin.
Vous comprenez? Hein? Oh mon Dieu!
C'est pour pas facile.
The moment has come. We now need to part.
J'ai passé un bon moment avec vous. Et je vous souhaite un bon retour aux États-Unis. Et moi, j'espère un jour y aller. Je n'oublierai pas de passer par chez vous. Merci. Et surtout, n'oubliez pas d'apprendre à parler français. C'est très important. Moi, je regrette de ne pas parler mieux l'anglais.
And I've really enjoyed meeting all of you. Thanks. I'm not sure I'd ever go against each other.
We're gonna listen to some 50s and 60s right now to wake you dudes up.
Yeah, they're not going to go through.
Those have the names of the friendlies I'm just counting the total number.
That's on.
We're coming up with the 7-Up Canada right here. If you want to drink, please contribute 100 francs.
See you in Amsterdam.
See you in Amsterdam.
Over here.
When are you filming?
You took the bridge?
We're now in the Charles de Gaulle Airport. There's Janet waiting in line as one of our students lost their ticket, and now she's negotiating to get her on the plane.
Oh, it's right. September 3rd. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. You're right.
What we hope is a very limited time only. Hometown Cable is offering free puppies to any lucky viewer who wants them on a first-come basis. These 3 charming female puppies were born on Christmas Eve, and it's time that they found a new home. They're friendly, playful, and of unknown pedigree. It's either your house or the dog pound, so if you've got room for a lovely female puppy, give us a call at 298-8529. That's 298-8529 in Champlain, and take home a